Hi, Shazia.
Hello, Richard. So good to meet you.
Yeah, very nice to meet you as well. Thank you for taking time out of your Sunday to, talk to me. Appreciate that.
Yeah, look at this.
Shazia is well adept at comedy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I know
Yeah.
you've done a bunch of acting stuff.
I,
Yeah,
I always told Shazia, I was like, man, if I could just write an act for Shazia, like and just put her on stage, like that'd be my meal ticket, Because
Wait, if you could just like, yeah, write something for her, like a character or a movie.
no, stand up, like make her like Whitney Cummings, like Desi Whitney Cummings or something, and just give her all the lines.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
down. There were an earpiece too, like
Oh,
Johnny
yeah.
Depp.
For crowd work.
Yeah, yes, exactly.
Ask them how long they've been together.
That one seems to be a favorite.
Oh,
People
yeah.
love talking about themselves, right? It's just got to involve them.
Oh,
Ask them,
yeah.
how are you doing? That's what it is.
How are you doing? If you see two guys, say, why are you sitting so close to each other?
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, these are the tricks of the trade. So,
I'm taking notes.
Shazia's like, this is creepy being with two Indian guys who are just asking.
well, luckily we're remote. So,
That's a good point. Where are you, Richard? Where are you joining us from?
I'm in West Hollywood.
Oh,
Yeah.
down the
What about?
street from Tarun.
Oh, yeah. And what about you?
I'm in Texas.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I have a bunch of friends moving out to Austin right now. I mean, the amount of house you can get is extraordinary.
Yeah, it makes total sense. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly I question why I'm in LA every single day. So,
Where were you raised? Where did you grow up?
in the Bay Area.
Oh, okay. That's right. I think I saw that on one of your.
Yeah, the Bay Area is a nice hotbed for the Indian folk. We've joined together in Fremont, but then but it used to be cheap. That's why we all went there.
Not anymore.
Such is not the case. No,
Is your family still there?
they're spread out. I have family in Australia and in Canada, so they've just absconded from the U.S.
Yeah.
Richard
My
Shaz,
family.
Shaz and I did a web series years ago, and she was very funny in it. And she moved to Texas, but she works more than any actress I know out here in LA. Like she works, she's on TV every other week. It's crazy.
That's awesome.
I
Yeah.
didn't know either. I know. It's crazy. I just got off set. I just worked this week in Dallas and in Houston. Um, but a lot of the talent flew in from LA.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you can definitely act outside of LA. Like I have a friend who lives in Bali, and he will fly into LA whenever they're filming, and then just goes back to Bali.
Yeah, that's the beauty. I think COVID really helped kind of move that forward.
Absolutely. Yeah. So sometimes I think about going back to San Francisco. So I debate on that, but I don't know. I'm happy in LA right now.
Yeah, your place looks cute.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. I got some this is sponsored by West Elm. My house is just a West Elm showroom basically at this point.
Yeah, they film all their commercials there.
They do, yeah. Everything still has price tags on it.
I
Guys,
like that.
Richard is crushing it in the stand-up world. He's I first I didn't really know Richard. I actually reached out to him because I thought he was so funny. His clips do very well. He's got a big following. Like I really consider him as like one of the guys who's probably gonna pop. He's already doing really well now, but I feel like it's a matter of time for him. And he has a new album which he just recorded on in San Fran, his hometown. And I listened to a little bit of it, and he's got clips on his Instagram, and it's really good.
Dude,
So
thank you, man.
congrats on that, Richard. Just going out and making your own album. It's awesome.
I appreciate that, man. In light of JFL being canceled, if I can just get the nod of recognition from you, that's
That's
what I
all you
need.
need.
That's what
I'm the new JFL. Shots' approval and my approval.
100%, man. I mean, I just got to a point now where I'm like, hey, as long as I know I'm good at this, that's good enough for me. Like, and it's all that matters is if I wrote a new joke. So yesterday I had a joke about how I love Pakistani women, went great. And and I'll be buzzing for the a 24-hour window.
Oh my goodness. Why do you love Pakistani women? What is that?
They're so attractive. It's crazy. I don't know what happened in that partition. I don't know if they were just like hot people go this way, but
Wait,
but
are you Indian or are you Pakistani?
I'm Indian. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I can't really, tell my family about my love for Pakistani women.
Is it reciprocal?
Yeah, because I feel like Pakistanis don't feel any negativity towards Indians. I think it's just a one way. I think it's
Yeah,
like,
I
yeah,
think a lot of Pakistani people identify as Indian, actually, because
yeah.
that's
I mean,
where we started, right? Like it all started there.
yeah. I mean, I think the term Desi, I think, is probably the most accurate. We are all kind of the same people, but I don't know. I have found I don't know why. Is it a higher percentage of Pakistani women are just super attractive? I don't know what it is, but it's like every time I get involved with a Desi woman, she happens to be Pakistani.
Interesting.
What's your
Well,
background, Shazia?
I'm Pakistani.
Oh, okay. Well, here we go. Point proven.
Yeah. No, I think I identify because my parents were pre-partition. They were in New Delhi and in Punjab, and then they were forced to be in this other part that is now called Pakistan.
Yeah.
So, I mean, my parents' passport said birthplace India, not Pakistan.
Oh, interesting.
Well, because Pakistan wasn't a country yet.
Oh, okay. So they were born before partition.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah. Anyways, it's confusing. And people, when you say you're Pakistani, like to non-Desi people, they think you're Middle Eastern.
Oh, yeah. People
But
have
if,
no idea what that region is called. Afghanistan, Pakistan, people are like, what is this? They're like,
yeah,
it's
it's
not South Asia. It's not really the Middle East.
it's not, it's India.
Yeah.
Richard, do you have a big chunk of your I've listened to a lot of your stuff, but you don't really focus on Indian content in general. Is that part of your new album, the Pakistani stuff? Do you have a chunk of like Indian stuff?
I do focus on, the Indian thing is really interesting because, like, I think like being Indian is so funny. The accent is funny. The whole culture is funny. So sometimes I'll just go hard talking about it, but then every once in a while I have to make sure that like I'm still funny without using all that as a crutch. So I ebb and flow. I'll do like 6 months of Indian material, 6 months of just like regular comedian material. Um, but it's no, I have a bunch of like Indian jokes on this album. I have like a bunch of jokes about Hinduism. um, I actually got a lot of anger from Indian people because I mistakenly said that in Hinduism there's 33 million gods and it's actually 330 million. And so
It's a
yeah, I
big
pissed
difference.
off a lot of people.
Hmm.
I think that's what you're supposed to do as a comedian is just piss off a lot of people.
Exactly. It's all about the engagement.
Yeah,
Anytime there's a fight in my comment section, I'm like, let's go.
right? Yeah. It builds your algorithm.
That's all this is. I mean, it's the days of just being funny online are over.
Do you find like you have a specific audience for your comedy act?
You know what? That's actually a great point. It's split right now. It is Desi people and it is like young professionals. Uh, I've actually had a difficult time finding a niche as a comedian because a lot of people want to see a comedian that's like this guy like started from the bottom and he was sleeping in his car and now he's killing it as a comedian. My story is completely different. I was a programmer for many years and then I was like I can't do the corporate life and now I've kind of started doing comedy. So I think it has been like a little bit of a struggle to find an audience, but they're percolating slowly.
Hmm. And you still produced this album, right?
No, this is by Blonde Medicine. This is
Oh,
a
I'm sorry.
label from San Francisco.
Show me that actually.
Yeah, these guys are really great. They just did Beth Stelling's album, so yeah, they're it's a solid production.
How many times did you, how many times, sorry, Shad, how many times did you run it before you actually taped it?
You know, I ran it like in 20-minute chunks in different places, and then on the day of the album, I just did the full hour through because you know, for me, like spontaneity is a big thing. Like, so I didn't want to just. I find if a lot of people they'll run their whole hour like 9 times, and then they'll go record it, and then by the time they record it, it sounds a little too structured. And for me, a lot of stand up is just is the imperfect nature of it. I love hearing like a comedian stumble, try to figure something out. He gets distracted. Like that to me is the interesting part.
I can agree with that.
Yeah. I mean, with your acting, how much do you rehearse for a scene?
Well, for me, it's making sure that I have the lines, and then I like to be spontaneous on set as well, just open to whatever feels right in the moment. Because if I over rehearse it, like as far as my marks and all that, it comes off as unrealistic, right? So I just make sure the lines are down, and then I just kind of wing it on set for what feels right.
Nice. Yeah, I think that that mix of being rehearsed and then letting go of it, I think is super important. And I'm definitely trying to do that with stand up now. Like I'll if I know a joke works really well, I'll just like say it in a different way. Like I'll yell or I'll, you know, I'll purposely switch a bunch of words around to make it feel like a little bit rough.
I like that process. Yeah.
I
Thank
kind
you.
of need my shows to go off the rails a bit. You know, those are like when my shows are the best, when like it's not a someone actually gave me great advice when I started headlining, first started, they were like, it's not a perfect diamond. And I think you hit it right in the head. But when it goes off the rails a little bit, then you're forced to be present. You're forced to acknowledge the room. And there's like a different engagement with the audience.
Yeah, I've seen some videos of you like getting into the audience,
Well,
you know, ripping tablecloths off, uh, you know.
Those are my favorite ones, Tharun.
Oh yeah. No, Darwin's shows are like interactive. Like you have to sign a waiver before you go there.
yeah, NDA.
An NDA. Hey, some random liquid may get on your clothing.
I mean, I feel like comedians in this day and age, you guys have had to hold back. Like you can't
Yeah.
offend people, and there's certain jokes that you just can't make or topics that you have to stay away from. Like, how does that affect you guys? And like, how do you get around it? Because
Yeah.
so much of that is just so funny.
I know. Yeah, I think it's actually pushing us to be better because the problem is that like people only get offended by a joke when you miss, basically. Like, so you know, there's plenty of famous comedians that are, you know, saying racial material or, you know, material about gender, but it's just so funny that you get away with it. Like if you watch Shane Gillis's SNL monologue that he did last week, I mean he's saying stuff on like you shouldn't even be able to say on TV. Like, you know, he's making fun of handicapped people. He's talking about people with Down syndrome. He's talking about you know, all sorts of stuff, and he's doing this on live TV and getting away with it. So it is. You just have to have more nuance. You have to like elevate your comedy a little bit. The comics that are getting in trouble right now are just the people that are like, oh, I just want to go on stage and just say something racist, you know, just
Mm,
straight up racist. Like that's going to get you canceled.
that makes sense.
Yeah, like you just have to be, I would say you have to be funnier than you are offensive.
Yeah.
I feel like if you're pissing people off, you're doing the right thing though, because the fact that you can have an audience that people are taking the time to comment about your, you know, the Hindu gods or something, like that's a good sign. Even if you have 1% of the people saying stuff, like that's something, especially in this market where everything's oversaturated.
Yeah, I mean that you know, sensationalism I think is you know what a lot of people do. Like I think you can like there is a little bit of like, hey, let's offend people just to get them talking.
Mhm.
So I definitely think that is a method, but I try not to do that too much. Uh, you know, I'm just out here to have fun, you know, like I'm not out here to like piss a bunch of people off. Like I don't know. I mean, I remember back in the day, like stand up doesn't have to be offensive. Like Mitch Hedberg was one of the best comedians of all time, and he has jokes like, you know, dogs are always in the push up position.
Yeah.
You know, I was
No,
like, I
one of
don't know if
my favorite. Yeah, I love Nate. Is it Nate
Bar-
Burkitz?
Bargatze.
Bargatze. Oh my god, I'm so glad you.
Bargatze. And it's all clean and
Oh
it's
my
all just
god,
relatable and it's
yeah.
hilarious. Like him with the milk, the iced tea with milk. I
Oh
don't
my god.
that I will listen to that joke with like at any given time and laugh every time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's to me that's the best comedy. Just
Yeah.
like I don't know. I mean, I think, you know, being offensive is like, I think that's like low hanging fruit, you know? Yeah, Nate Bargatze, the latest special, he's got a joke about how he slept in a hotel room with all the lights on because he couldn't figure out how to turn them off.
Yes.
And
It's so good.
that's so good. I'm like, like those, like, because I don't know, that's something like you would never tell that to your friends, but it's like, but we've all kind of had trouble turning off the lights in the hotel. And, dude, that was like so good.
Yeah.
Richard's called it Indian Nate Bargatze because he's so clean and corporate.
Oh my God. If I could get that title, I would love it.
No, but honestly, but that's why I like your comedy, Richard, because you're not afraid. Like I was just texting you before this. Like he's
Hmm.
got a great joke about getting roadhead, and he's like,
Hmm.
"What can I practice in the parking lot? I'm murdering this." But I love the fact that you almost have this "I don't give a fuck" attitude where you're not afraid. But you also can work very. He's done a dry bar special too. If Richard's done a dry bar special, which is not easy to do, you have to be super clean to do it. But if you know Richard, he's naturally funny, and that reflects like his personality is really in tune with who he is, which is really hard to do as a stand-up.
Yeah, I think what's really interesting is so the dry bar special that was filmed in front of all Mormons in Utah. So it's completely clean. They even got mad at me for saying the word piss at one point during my set. So I had to like cut that out. Um, so that was super clean. And now I did this new album. So now this album is all the dirty stuff that didn't make it onto the clean Mormon special. So you're getting like this album is particularly filthy, uh, just because I've already used up all my clean material. But somebody gave me a good compliment, which is that they said that I have an ability to make dirty things feel clean. Like even though I'm saying like stuff that's like pretty graphic and heinous, it still feels like you know, like I don't know, it still feels whimsy.
I could see that. I feel like I could you give off that vibe of like,
Yeah, hey, we're chill. We're just talking. Like,
yes, chill, you have that vibe. Totally.
thank you.
Use
Yeah,
it. Use it. Yeah, for sure. Where
thank
can
you.
I see the dry bar
It's
special?
on and now it's on YouTube.
Okay.
It's gone on the. They've released it to everywhere. But yeah, you just search my name and it did really well. I think it's like almost at 2 million views right now. So it's I've definitely been. So the problem with that though is that people think I'm very clean. So I'm getting a lot of like corporate shows and stuff like that where they expect me to show up and just be like, you know, just like very, very nice. Uh, and it's a tough situation to navigate, but hopefully with this new album, people will now start seeing that like I'm more of like a whole comedian.
Yeah, like Mormons are showing up at your show in like buggies and stuff. Like, we got to see Richard, the Mormon comedian, and they're like, "What?"
Oh yeah. Yeah. No, I've had people get very offended and just walk out because they thought I was like a clean family comedian. So it's been a little tough to navigate that. Um, that roadhead joke, I can just talk about it just so
Yeah.
people, just to give people a little like
Sorry to mangle that. Yeah.
no. But basically the joke is, so I'm very shy. And one time this woman offered to give me head in the car while I was driving. And I just told her that sounds dangerous. And and then it's the whole situation from there. I'm like, hey, no, like we can't be doing this right here in traffic. Like, we got to practice first. Let's go, circle the parking lot in a Best Buy, put up a student driver placard and stuff like that. So I think that's kind of the vibe of the album, is that it is like dirty stuff, but it's like very very soft.
Yeah.
It is good.
Thank you.
Is that your ultimate goal? Because I know you're a good actor and you've directed some stuff, and we might have talked this before, but with this new album, is that more of a push of where you're heading, of just straight stand up, or are you gonna keep doubling down on what you're doing?
I really like acting. It's just the opportunities are, or I think it's just, yeah, you're more plugged into what someone else is doing unless you want to produce the whole thing yourself. So stand up to me is like the one avenue where it's like, hey, there's a microphone there. I'm going to walk to the microphone and I'm going to say some stuff. And there's just full control and freedom. So I think stand up is just really where I want to focus, because a lot of people use stand up to get to that next thing. Like, oh, hey, I'm funny doing stand up. So now that's going to help me get to, be an actor. But I really, I just like stand up. I like making people laugh, and I like that just connection with the audience. So for me, stand up is kind of the end goal.
Hmm.
But why not also be writing potentially a series if you have time? You never
Yeah.
know. I mean, you look at Mo Amir. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah. His friend on the show, who plays his autistic brother, that's my friend who lives in Bali. So
oh, that's the one you spoke about. I see.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, he's in Bali right now. They're gonna film season 2. He's gonna go to Texas actually to film it, and then he's just gonna go back to Bali. But yeah, that's really smart what those guys are doing. What Mo did, I think Rami Youssef did the same thing, wrote his series. I would definitely do it. It's just stand up is the domain where I feel like I'm in control, and I like that feeling of just like having one thing in my life be under my control, because everything else is like so topsy turvy. But I'm totally happy to sit down and write something. I've done it before. Um, and there's so much to learn, like when you're collaborating with somebody else, like managing other people's egos. Um, so it's just like a lot more to learn. If it's just me doing everything, then I can kind of like, there's nothing to stop me.
Also, your stand-up will take a hit if you start doing other things. It's so hard to just do stand-up and write a series. I guarantee you those guys who are actors, like their stand-up isn't as strong as it should be. Maybe it is, but in my opinion, it just takes everything is so hard to do.
It is true. I mean, I perform with many comedians. It's like, okay, this guy writes for, Colbert or whatever. This guy writes on this show. And then when they go on stage, you can definitely tell that it's a writer telling written jokes.
Mm.
And to me, the best stand up is, when the performance aspect comes out. So, yeah, I don't know. I think like I said, the only thing that makes me happy really is when a new joke works on stage. And so I just have to keep doing that. I think in life, like for me, it's like I just want to do the thing that makes me happy. Like I love getting coffee with Tarun, like so that's like I just want to do that all the time.
And Roadhead, so maybe we can combine. Maybe I'll give you
Dude, if
head.
we can combine, I would love that.
Roadhead coffee and a biscotti, apparently.
Oh my God, dude.
Uh, Shazia, I mean, have you ever been to a comedy club in terms of like, I know you've been to Nate Bargatze, but like, have you experienced like the comedy club setting of like the alcohol, like what it is now, like in
Aaron,
Texas?
I've been to your shows.
Oh,
I've
you
been
have,
to
that's
a
right.
lot of shows. I mean,
Yeah.
I was also at Groundlings for a while, so I never missed a Groundling show, which isn't stand-up comedy, but still it's a comedy show. But living in LA, yeah, I would go to the Laugh Factory. I've seen a lot of I mean, I've seen Ricky Gervais. I've seen big acts. I've seen Seinfeld. I've seen my husband and I love going to comedy shows, but what makes us want to go is like what you guys said. It's the spontaneity, or else I could just wait for it, right? Like I could just wait for it, watch it in my living room. But what drives me to go is, oh, I got to see what's going to happen because this is going to be, there's going to be improv. They're not as rehearsed. So
Mm-hmm. And I think there's something about just laughing with a group.
there is, yes.
It's so fun. Like I'll also find myself like if the person next to me laughs, I'll just laugh also. And it's like, oh, there's some like interesting, there's some weird connection going on.
That you would exchange an energy and you create a force when you're in a room full of people that are vibing on the same thing. And it's not, it's just, it's, you can't describe it or put it into words, but it is there and you feel it. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like like last night the show was so good. Like everybody, it was like 6 comedians, everybody did 10 minutes. And like everybody's set like was so good that the next person had an even better set. And because the audience just started getting this expectation that like, oh, we're in a great place, we're all gonna laugh at everything. And so at a certain point, we didn't even have to try anymore. We were just getting up there. It was so it was at a dance studio. They just had a show at the dance studio, and so at one point during my set, I just started dancing, and I'm very awkward. So the way I dance is like really very cringy, but they like it. They like were going nuts because it was like so awkward.
I love it. Wait, what dance studio? Where in LA?
Yeah, it's called Soho Dance, and it's in Sherman Oaks.
Nice.
And yeah, so they just cleared out the dance studio. It was like it just looked like a normal practice space.
Sometimes I hate those shows when everybody does well because I kind of want there to be resistance. That's
Yeah,
like that's because to me, like I want to prove myself, in terms of I don't love it when I see some hack comic like kill. I'm like, God, this is like
yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
yeah, totally. I had to get over that because it happens so often. Like you go on stage, you do well, and then the next comic says some joke, that's super hack and destroys, and then you feel dirty.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, they were gonna laugh at anything. Like I totally get that feeling. But it's I don't know, but live performance is just more about momentum than it is about any individual person. Like it's yeah, I don't. You could put Jerry Seinfeld or you could put Bill Burr at like a really bad show. Like if people didn't know about him, I don't know that he would do well.
I could see that.
I used to watch Bill Burr when I was a door guy at the Boston Comedy Club like 20 years ago, and nobody knew who he was, and he would always destroy though. He would always just get that. I think that's when your personality and persona, which is another thing about your album that I really like, Richard. I was listening to it and I texted you this, like your persona really shines because there's no visual. Like you're forced to listen to this.
Yeah,
And that snarky thing you do like really resonates. So you can really hear a stand-up character persona come
yeah,
out on the album.
yeah, totally. I mean, it's I guess it's like the way that a blind person sees the world, because when we think of our senses, we just think about vision mostly. And then as soon as you take away vision, it's like, whoa, like your brain starts making the images for you. So it's like, I mean, my first experience with listening was listening to albums, like I used to just listen to Dane Cook, unfortunately, and a bunch of a bunch of others, but like the visuals were so powerful. I loved it.
Agree. Well, you have a good voice too, so that
Thank
helps.
you. I really appreciate that, Shazia.
Yeah.
Yeah, I try to like a lot of people say my voice is like uh I don't know, like kind of like well, I don't know. It's very like it sounds like I'm trying to seduce people all the time, I feel like.
It kind of does. You're right. It's also has it's like you trust who, if I just hear your voice, I'm like, oh, I trust this guy.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. You sound like you wouldn't lie.
Let me think about that. Do I lie? I would say I actually tell the truth. Actually to a fault.
Yeah. You sound like a truth teller.
Yeah.
Tarun, you sound like, no, I'm kidding. Okay.
I'm a liar by nature.
You're a liar. You're a cheat. No, you're salt of the earth, Darun.
Yeah.
You don't know me well enough. Uh, Richard, are you picking up girls after the show? Like, I know we're in the same age demographic. Are you still in that window of meeting girls after the show?
Yeah, sometimes. You know what's really interesting is like it depends. Just the bigger the venue, the like the higher status of the venue, the more girls will come up to me after my set. Like I did a set at the Bourbon Room, and three women came up to me and gave me their phone number. And this doesn't, I do hundreds of shows. That usually doesn't happen. But the Bourbon Room, like other big names were on the show, like John Mulaney was on the show. And so I think they were like, okay, this guy was on the show that John Mulaney was on. He must be cool. We're going to give this guy our number. So it does happen occasionally, but not all the time.
What do these hookups work out? And have you found anyone you dated for
You
a
know
while?
what? Yeah, uh, I have dated yeah, like one of them went for like 4 or 5 months.
Oh,
So yeah, it's I think it's a good it is a good avenue. It's like, hey, I go on stage. This is an advertisement for who I am, basically. It's like a in-person Bumble profile.
yeah.
And then yeah, we can, it's like, hey, if you like this version of me, then let's get to know each other. But yeah, I definitely am in my place now where I'm like, hey, it's time to get a relationship. I want to, find somebody. I'm trying to get some kids. Like, so I'm, and I think it took me a while to get to this point, but now I'm like so ready. So like I'm not trying to do too many more hookups. I'm trying to really get to that next thing.
Do you have Desi parents pushing you to abuse
So
grandchildren?
yeah, well, my aunts and uncles are really pushing. They're just like, they really want to see some progeny pretty soon. And hey, I'm on board. I'm not saying no. I'll totally make it work. I just need to find the right person. But man, they put me on a Honorup. I don't know if you heard of that website. It's a Marathi dating site, and
Ooh.
uh, and I'm just getting a lot of like, but it's just so interesting. Like having to talk to like uh women that are in India, and it's like the conversations we're having, she'll be like, yeah, I studied this, and they'll like tell me their GPA and stuff like that. And I'm like, that's all well and good, but like, I don't, do we like each other?
Well, so do you ideally see yourself with a Desi woman or Pakistani woman?
Yeah. I could definitely see it. Yeah. uh I think the shared culture is really, really cool. I think we have like that sensibility that I'm just not going to get from an American woman. Um, yeah, so I definitely want that, but I'm happy with whatever works out. Like, but I do feel, yeah, with Desi women, I definitely am like, okay, we're starting from this like baseline of like understanding, which I really like.
So should we plug your album, which releases April 12th, and also catch Richard on the Marathi dating sites?
Apparently.
You can catch me on Honorup, or you can catch me on
On a
iTunes. Yeah, I think what is Honorup means like it means like together or something. But yeah. So my album is called "They're Gonna Know," and so "They're Gonna Know" is a couple things. It's like it's a reference to a joke of mine where it's like my dad named me Richard in the hopes that I would assimilate as an American, and it's like, Dad, they're gonna know. Like, so that's where the album was inspired. They're gonna know if you look at the album cover. Actually, it's a picture of myself looking at myself, and that's actually a reference to my mom's schizophrenia. So that's like a little secret Easter egg about that I hid in the album cover. So the album is pretty like it spans topics. Starts with identity, and then goes into like uh I don't know, like I don't I'm trying to be like a bipartisan comic. Like I don't want to appeal to only liberals or only conservatives. I'm trying to like bridge the gap. So that's the middle part of the album, and then the ending is about mental illness and the stuff I had to deal with growing up. So I think it's a fun little spread of silly and serious, and yeah, so it's going to come out on April 12th. And if people want to pre-order it, that really helps me on the day of the release, because the pre-orders stack up, and then on the day of release, like if there's enough pre-orders, then it goes to the top of the charts, and then that'll get more visibility. So that's kind of the game plan right now.
That's terrific. I really got to watch your set with that full arc, because that's really where your skills as a stand-up shine. Like to do that full 45, that's hard to do.
A full 45 is very hard. Yeah, because holding anyone's attention for 45 to an hour, like you remember in college, like watching a professor at minute 30, you're like, that's it, you know. So you got to do something at that 30-minute mark to switch up the energy, and then you can close on material again. So yeah, I definitely felt it on the album. So I did crowd work at a certain point in the album just to get the energy back up, and then I went back into my stuff.
I can't wait to hear it.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
really
thank
great.
you.
I mean, also I think it's a testament to where you are in your career. Because I mean, this isn't your first rodeo. So I mean, with the dry bars from where you came from, stand up, San Fran, LA, it's a snapshot of where you are in your stand-up journey, which will probably change next year, 5 years from now. So it's
Yeah.
great that you record an album to capture this part of your life.
That's exactly right. A stand-up is always a snapshot of your life, because there's always you change as a person, and so you're changing, you're evolving beyond your material. So you have to very quickly record it all while it's who you are, and then you move on to the next thing. Like if I did this album next year, it wouldn't be good. So it's like it has to be right now.
Yeah,
We
so
have 2 minutes left. Do we have to? I'm just saying, because it's gonna
So where
cancel.
can we find you? What are your socials?
Okay, yeah. You can find me on Instagram. I'm Richard the Comedian, and TikTok, same thing. Those are my main avenues. I post everything on there.
All
yes.
right. And single and looking for a Desi woman.
Yes, please. I'm a nice man. I will take you on nice dates. We can go to sushi. Um, Also, we can just do domestic things like cook at home and go for hikes. So if you're into that, also follow me at Richard the Comedian.
And you can listen to his album, which drops April 12th. So please pre-order it. Check it out. I listened to it. It's very funny. You won't regret it. Check it out, please.
Thank you, Tarun. I really appreciate that. Yeah, it's nice to just come on here and just like hang out with some people. This is the perfect start to a Sunday morning. I appreciate it.
Well, I'm sure this is the start of your huge press tour. So I'm glad we got to warm you up.
Oh yeah, dude. I mean, I need some serious media training, because I'm in danger of saying something like off color that will get me canceled. So but I think we did good here. I didn't say anything too crazy. I feel like we're all still friends.
Yeah, well, we'll see about that. Well, Richard, we should wrap up. Thanks so much for joining us. Check out Richard's album, drops April 12th. And yeah, we'll catch you next time right here.
Yes, dude, I appreciate this very much. Very nice talking to you guys.
All right, Richard, take care.
All right, bye.
Thank you.